हेलो फ्रेंड्स, आज का हमारा टॉपिक है डाइवर्सिटी ऑफ लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स। इसमें हम देखेंगे 5 किंगडम क्लासिफिकेशन। जो 5 किंगडम्स हम देखेंगे वो है किंगडम मोनेरा, प्रोटिस्टा, फंगी, प्लांटी एंड एनिमलिया। तो चलो देखते हैं डाइवर्सिटी ऑफ लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स। You must be aware of multitude life forms that around us. Every living organism is a unique, and this uniqueness is the basis of the vast diversity. Around us, we can see different type of organisms: plants, animals, microorganisms, bacteria, viruses. All these are organisms. Their body organization is different. It means they are different from each other. So there is a vast variety of living organisms around us, and these varieties of organisms are categorized in the different group on the basis of their characteristics. तो चलो देखते हैं इनको कैटेगराइज कैसे किया, जिसको हम कहते हैं क्लासिफिकेशन कैसे हुआ. So this huge biological diversity can be studied by the classification of living organisms. They are categorized in the different group. They classified in the different group on the basis of their characteristics. So what is the classification? Classification is the grouping of living organisms together on the basis of their similarities and dissimilarities. Grouping together of organisms on the basis of their similarities and dissimilarities is called classification. One of the earliest classification schemes was established by the Greek philosopher Aristotle. So, on which basis the organisms are classified? They classified on the basis of their types of cells, number of cells, modes of nutrition, and cell wall is present or absent. So these are the most important basis of the classification. On the basis of these characteristics, these organisms are classified into the different groups. These are types of cell, number of cells, mode of nutrition and cell wall. किस टाइप के सेल्स है, कितने सेल्स से वो ऑर्गेनिज्म बना है, उसका न्यूट्रिशन किस तरह का है, ऑटोट्रोपिक न्यूट्रिशन है या हेटरोट्रोपिक न्यूट्रिशन है, उसमें सेल वॉल प्रेजेंट है या एब्सेंट है. सो दीज आर द बेसिस ऑफ क्लासिफिकेशन. फर्स्ट, टाइप्स ऑफ सेल. हमें पता है सेल दो टाइप्स के होते हैं. फर्स्ट, प्रोकैरियोटिक सेल एंड सेकेंड, eukaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cells means do not have membrane bounded nucleus and cell organelles. जो सेल ऑर्गेनल्स होते हैं या न्यूक्लियस होता है, they do not have membrane. Nuclear membrane is absent. Example, bacterial cells. These are prokaryotic cells. What is meant by eukaryotic cells? Nuclear membrane is present. Membrane bounded nucleus and cell organelles are present. That type of cells are known as the eukaryotic cells. Example of eukaryotic cell is the yeast cell. This is a unicellular, but the nucleus and cell organelles, they have a membrane. Without membrane, prokaryotic cells, membrane bounded nucleus and cell organelles, eukaryotic cells. So on the basis of prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cells, these organisms are classified. Example of prokaryotic cell, bacteria. Example of eukaryotic cell, yeast cell. This is a fungus. Second आता है number of cells. How many cells are present in the body of living organism? This organism will be unicellular or multicellular. Unicellular organism It means it has only one cell. This organism is made up of single cell. Example is a amoeba. Amoeba is a single cell organism. It is known as a unicellular organism. Multicellular organism, it means it is made up from more than one cell. Examples are human beings, higher animals, higher plants. These are the examples of multicellular organisms. So on the basis of number of cells, organisms are categorized into two groups, unicellular organism and multicellular organism. थर्ड आता है मोड ऑफ न्यूट्रिशन. न्यूट्रिशन दो टाइप का होता है, ऑटोट्रोपिक मोड ऑफ न्यूट्रिशन एंड हेटेरोट्रोपिक मोड ऑफ न्यूट्रिशन. So on the basis of mode of nutrition, autotrophic mode of nutrition and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Autotrophic mode of nutrition means these organisms prepare their own food from simple organic substances. They make their own food. Examples are all green plants. They prepare their own food from simple organic substances. That type of the organisms are called as autotrophs. What is meant by heterotrophs? They do not synthesize their own food. They take their food from outside environment. They take their food from plants as well as other animals. So they are called as heterotrophs. Examples are all animals including human beings. Next आता है cell wall. In some cells, cell wall is present and in some cells, cell wall is absent. Presence of cell wall and absence of cell wall. Presence of cell wall का example क्या है? All plant cells. Absence of cell wall, animal cells. On the basis of these characteristics, all living organisms are grouped into the different group. अब एक क्वेश्चन देखते हैं. ईस्ट अभी हमने देखा था. ईस्ट इज एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ यूकैरियोटिक ऑर्गेनिज्म, प्रोकैरियोटिक ऑर्गेनिज्म, मल्टीसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिज्म. इसके लिए आपको एक हिंट देता हूं. ईस्ट हैव न्यूक्लियस एंड मेम्ब्रेन बाउंडेड ऑर्गेनेल्स. So nucleus and organelles are bounded with a membrane. So yeast is an example of eukaryotic organisms. Classification and evolution. जैसे हमने अभी देखा, all organisms are classified on the basis of their similarities and dissimilarities. So ये जो similarities है और जो डिसिमिलैरिटीज है, इनके बेस पे इनको हमने क्लासिफाइड किया. इवोल्यूशन किसको कहते हैं? इवोल्यूशन हम कहते हैं न्यू लाइफ इज डेवलप्ड फ्रॉम ओल्डर लाइफ. ओल्डर लाइफ में जो भी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स है उसमें कुछ चेंजेस होते हैं और नई लाइफ बनती है, बट इट टेक मिलियंस ऑफ ईयर्स. तो ये सडनली नहीं होता है. न्यू स्पेसीज will be formed from the older species. ये क्यों species form होते हैं? Environmental changes. They have to be survive in the environment, so they develop their new species. They can be easily survive in the changing environment. So classification is the classification of organisms in the group on the basis of their similarities and dissimilarities. चार्ल्स डार्विन इवोल्यूशन क्या है, किस तरह से होता है, all these theories are put up in his book in 1859. Biologists such as Ernest Haeckel in 1894, Robert Whittaker in 1959 and Carl Oates in 1977 classified all organisms into the broad categories called as a kingdom. So all these organisms are classified into the different categories, and these different categories are known as a kingdom. These living organisms further divided into the subgroups. So these organisms are classified into the broad group. These are known as a kingdom. But each kingdom is further divided into subgroups. Classification of all living organisms classified into the 5 groups by Robert Whittaker. These are, so all living organisms are classified into these 5 broad groups are known as a kingdom. These are kingdom Monera, protista, fungi, plantae and animalia. So categories in classification. अब हमने तो अभी देखा था all living organisms are categorized into the 5 kingdoms, classified into the 5 kingdoms. Kingdoms again subdivided into the subgroups. So what are the categories of classification? Organisms are first of all classified into the kingdoms. Then these kingdoms are classified into the subgroups. Animal subgroups are known as a phyla. Plant subgroups are known as a divisions. So kingdom divided into 2 subgroups, phyla and division. Phyla for animals, divisions for plants. Then each phylum or division is further divided into classes. Each classes further divided into orders. Each order further divided into families, which are again divided into genus. And finally, genus consists of many species. Each genus consists of many species, and these species are the group of organisms that can interbreed to produce fertile organisms. Overall, broad groups are 5. These are kingdoms. These kingdoms are further divided into phylum and divisions. Then, these phylums and divisions further divided into classes. Each class further divided into order. Each order further divided into family. Each family further divided into genus. And genus have number of species. These are the basic organisms in this 5 kingdom classification. In these categories, species are the basic category of the classification. Hierarchy of classification, that is the groups. अभी हमने जो देखा था, topmost hierarchy of classification is the kingdom. Kingdom further divided into phylum and division. These phylum and divisions are further divided into class. Each class further divided into order. Orders divided into family. Family divided into genus. And genus has a number of species. So these are the hierarchy of classification. Kingdom, phylum or division, class, order, family, genus, species, these are the categories. So this is the hierarchy of classification. So organisms of the species share more similarities than the organisms of the genus. स्पेसिस में जितने सिमिलैरिटीज आपको दिखेंगी उतनी सिमिलैरिटीज आपको जीनस में नहीं दिखेंगी. जीनस में जितनी सिमिलैरिटीज दिखेंगी उससे कम सिमिलैरिटीज आपको फैमिलीज में दिखेंगी. सो सबसे ज्यादा सिमिलैरिटीज हमें कहां दिखेंगी? इन द स्पेसिस. सो जैसे अभी हमने देखा था, these आर द कैटेगरीज ऑफ हायरार्ची ऑफ क्लासिफिकेशन. अब क्वेश्चन ये है कि नाउ Can you guess whether the similarities between the organisms decreases or increases as we move higher in the hierarchy? अगर हम बॉटम टू टॉप जाते हैं, सिमिलैरिटीज इंक्रीज होगी कि डिक्रीज होगी? सो ऑल सिमिलैरिटीज फ्रॉम बॉटम टू हायर लेवल दे डिक्रीजेस. सो सबसे ज्यादा हमें सिमिलैरिटीज मिलेंगी इन द स्पेसीज. Linnaeus contribution. He is known as a father of taxonomy. क्लासिफिकेशन या फादर ऑफ टैक्सोनॉमी अगर किसी को कहते हैं तो यह है लीनियस. ऑर्गेनिक वर्ल्ड divided into the kingdoms, mainly in animal kingdom and plant kingdom. This contribution is given by Carl Linnaeus. Each kingdom splits into the smaller groups, जैसे हमने देखा था, like a phylum, classes, order, family, genus and species. And he developed two name system called as a binomial system of nomenclature. जो किसी भी लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म का हम अगर नाम लिखते हैं साइंटिफिकली तो वो होता है बायनोमियल नोमेनक्लेचर मेथड से बना हुआ. इसमें दो नाम यूज किए जाते हैं. टू नेम सिस्टम इसको कहते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल, फर्स्ट वर्ड जो होता है वो जीनस होता है एंड सेकंड वर्ड जो होता है वो होता है स्पेसीज. अब हम है ह्यूमन बीइंग्स, राइट, बट हमारा साइंटिफिक नेम क्या है? हमारा साइंटिफिक नेम है होमो सैपियंस. सो होमो इज अ जीनस and sapiens is a species. So this two name system called as a binomial nomenclature method developed by Linnaeus. जितने भी ऑर्गेनिजम्स है उनका नाम इसी तरह लिखा जाता है. फर्स्ट वर्ड इज अ जीनस एंड सेकेंड वर्ड इज अ स्पेसीज. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, ह्यूमन बींग्स, देयर जीनस इज अ होमो एंड स्पेसीज इज अ सैपियंस. अब देखते हैं 5 किंगडम क्लासिफिकेशन. ईच किंगडम वी हैव टू डिस्कस इन डिटेल. जैसे हमने देखा था क्लासिफिकेशन जो बना था, ऑर्गेनिजम्स आर क्लासिफाइड ऑन द बेस ऑफ डिफरेंट कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स लाइक टाइप ऑफ सेल, दैट इज अ प्रोकैरियोटिक सेल और यूकैरियोटिक सेल. प्रोकैरियोटिक सेल जो होते हैं, जनरली ऑल ऑर्गेनिजम्स आर यूनिसेल्युलर. So all these organisms, prokaryotic organisms, unicellular organisms are grouped in the kingdom Monera. So this is the first kingdom, Monera. Eukaryotes, in eukaryotes, these organisms may be unicellular or multicellular. If eukaryotes are unicellular, so they are grouped in the kingdom Protista. If they are multicellular, so they again divided on the basis of their cell wall. If cell wall is present or cell wall is absent. These organisms are divided into two kingdoms. One, fungi, they do not synthesize their food, so there is a photosynthesis process completely absent. And another kingdom is a plantae. These plants synthesize their own food. So, another two kingdoms are fungi and plantae. Without cell wall multicellular organisms are grouped in the last kingdom, that is Animalia. So, these are the 5 kingdoms: Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. This is the 5 kingdom classification of all living organisms. So they group in the 5 kingdom on the basis of their different characteristics, like prokaryotic cell or eukaryotic cell, unicellular, multicellular, cell wall is present, cell wall is absent. So on the basis of their characteristics, they are classified into 5 kingdoms. Kingdom Monera, Kingdom Protista, Kingdom Fungi, Kingdom Plantae and Kingdom Animalia. Now, Kingdom Monera. इसमें किस तरह के ऑर्गेनिजम्स आते हैं? ऑर्गेनिजम्स आर वेरी सिंपल प्रोकैरियोटिक सेल्स. Examples are bacteria, cyanobacteria, mycoplasma. These are the examples of kingdom Monera. Kingdom Monera includes most ancient, smallest and simple prokaryotic organisms. These are bacteria, cyanobacteria, mycoplasma, etc. So ये जो organisms है, these are unicellular organisms. It means their body is made up of single cell only. ये जो cells है, ये जो organisms है, ये है prokaryotes. It means they do not have well defined nucleus or organelles, as it is not bounded by nuclear membrane. So nuclear membrane is completely absent in the organism of kingdom Monera. Presence or absence of cell wall. Cell wall is not found in mycoplasma, but bacteria and blue-green algae have a cell wall. So in mycoplasma, cell wall is absent, but in bacteria and blue-green algae, cell wall is present. Autotrophic nutrition or heterotrophic nutrition. Some can synthesize their own foods. So they are autotrophs. Whereas others take their food from the environment. So they are heterotrophs. Blue-green algae is an example of autotrophic nutrition. Bacteria are the example of heterotrophs. Bacteria, by virtue of their various shape, can be survive in the extreme environment like hot spring, desert, snow, deep ocean. In all these environmental conditions, they can easily survive because of their various shape. So bacteria अलग अलग शेप से हमें मिलते हैं. So they can survive in the hot condition, in cold condition, in desert, in water, in snow. So in all conditions they can easily survive because of their various shapes. किस तरह के शेप्स होते हैं इनके? जैसे कोकी, ये जो बैक्टीरियाज होते हैं वो स्पेरिकल शेप होते हैं. बैसिलाई, ये जो बैक्टीरियाज होते हैं रॉड शेप्स होते हैं. स्पाइरिला, ये जो बैक्टीरियाज होते हैं ये स्पाइरल शेप्ड होते हैं. एंड वाइब्रो, ये जो बैक्टीरियाज होते हैं ये कॉमा शेप्ड होते हैं. सो बिकॉज ऑफ देयर वेरियस शेप दे कैन इजीली सर्वाइव इन एनी कंडीशन ऑफ द एनवायरमेंट. किंगडम प्रोटिस्टा, दिस इज अनदर किंगडम. इसमें किस तरह के ऑर्गेनिजम्स होते हैं? These are eukaryotic organisms and unicellular organisms. Organisms are unicellular. They are made up from single cell, but their cell organelles and nucleus is well defined. So they are eukaryotic organisms and made up from single cell. So this kingdom consists of all type of protozoa and unicellular algae. इनके एग्जाम्पल्स क्या है? प्रोटोजोआ एंड अल्गी. प्रोटोजोआ में हमने एग्जाम्पल्स देखे थे, पैरामेशियम, अमीबा, दीज आर द एग्जाम्पल्स. सो किंगडम प्रोटिस्टा कंसिस्ट ऑफ प्रोटोजोआ एंड यूनिसेलुलर algae. These are heterotrophic or autotrophic. इसमें से कुछ they can synthesize their own food. Other depend upon another living organism to obtain their food. So these are unicellular, eukaryotic, some are heterotrophic and some are autotrophic. These are found in water, fresh water as well as salty water और soil. ये soil में मिलेंगे, fresh water में मिलेंगे, salty water में मिलेंगे. So हमने अभी जैसे देखा था, these are unicellular, made up from single cell. These are eukaryotic organisms. It means their nucleus and cell organelles are well defined by nuclear membrane. They have autotrophic or heterotrophic nutrition. Some can synthesize their own food, whereas the others take their food from environment. Diatoms, that is a single cell algae in a sea, are autotrophs. They act as a phytoplanktons. It means these are microscopic. This is the example of autotroph. Amoeba, Paramecium, Euglena, these are the examples of heterotrophs. So this is the kingdom Protista. Many protistans have various appendages that help them in movement. This includes Chlamydomonas is the first example. It has a flagella. These are a wipe-like structure. Chlamydomonas move with the help of flagella. Another, Paramecium, it has hair-like structure is known as cilia. This hair-like structure spread all over the body of an organism. Paramecium move with the help of cilia. Another example is the amoeba. Amoeba has a pseudopodia. So with the help of pseudopodia, amoeba move around. So these are the different appendages of the protistans, help them for the movement. And third kingdom is the kingdom fungi. So in this kingdom, all type of fungus are included. These are unicellular or multicellular. It means they can be made up of single or many cell. Yeast is an example of unicellular fungus and mushroom is an example of multicellular fungus. Presence of cell wall. In the organisms of kingdom fungi, they have a cell wall. And this cell wall is made up of polysaccharide called as a chitin. Absence of chloroplast. All these fungus, these are heterotrophs. It means they do not synthesize their own food because chlorophyll containing organelle like chloroplast is absent in the fungus. These are heterotrophs. Their mode of nutrition is a heterotrophic mode of nutrition. They obtain their food from the another organism. Some of them derive their nutrition from the dead and decaying organisms. So they are called as a saprophyte. They depend upon dead and decaying matter of the organic material. So this type of fungi are known as a saprophytes. Examples of fungi are agaricus, मशरूम कहते हैं हम इसको, ईस्ट, म्यूकर, मोरेल, aspergillus and penicillium. These are the examples of fungus. This is the growth of algae and fungus together. It is known as a symbiotic relationship, and familiar example of the symbiotic relationship is a lichens. It is developed from algae and fungi grows together. So some fungal species live in permanent mutually dependent relationship with a blue-green algae or cyanobacteria. Such relationships are called as a symbiotic relationship. They grow permanently with a mutually dependent relationship. These symbiotic life forms are called as the lichens. तो इस तरह के जो लाइफ मिलते हैं, जो डेवलप होते हैं with the growth of algae and fungi together. So this type of the symbiotic lives are called as the lichens. They grow slowly on the bark of trees. So these lichens are developed from algae and fungi. Algae are autotrophs and fungi are heterotrophs. So algae make food for themselves as well as for fungal partner, and fungi absorb nutrients from the substrate and provide it to the algae partner for the synthesis of food. So nutrient supply करता है fungi, food synthesis करता है algae खुद के लिए and fungi के लिए. So they grow together with a symbiotic relationship, and the organism or the life is developed by this type of the relationship is known as the lichens. In part 2, we will discuss about kingdom planting. ये टॉपिक बहुत बड़ा है इसलिए हम इसको पार्ट 2 में देखेंगे, एंड पार्ट 3 में हम देखेंगे किंगडम एनिमलिया. सो पार्ट 1 में हमने देखा 5 किंगडम क्लासिफिकेशन. पार्ट 2 में हम देखेंगे किंगडम प्लांटी, दैट इज द क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ प्लांट्स, एंड पार्ट 3 में हम देखेंगे क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ एनिमल्स, दैट इज द किंगडम एनिमलिया.